This is a part 2 to the lesson I did last time. We're doing te form. I'm still going to review what we did last time, but I won't spend as much time on it as I did last time. All right, lesson 7 technically, which is crazy. I've done 7 of these. So we did the basics of te form in the beginning, like for last lesson. We just did how to make te form, connecting actions, and ongoing actions. Those are probably the main 2 that you're really going to see the most. So yeah, connection of actions and ongoing actions. The te iru and like tabete and then mimashita here. Yeah, those are the big ones that you're going to see the most. Te form, really like the main purpose of it is to continue making bigger sentences, connecting a story, just combining, like, I guess if I put together my advanced degree crap that I learned, independent and dependent clauses and blah, blah, blah. If you grew up in America, you do all that crap. So yeah, making longer sentences, making you seem a little bit more native, more comfortable, all that stuff. So if you, for example, for the connection of actions, if you just say, I ate, I watched TV, that's just, it's true and it's not wrong, but it doesn't sound as comfortable, I guess. So having those 2 split, you can just combine them and say, I ate and then watch TV, or and watch TV. It's like, when you connect the actions, it's like saying this and then this. So it's a continuous thought, a continuous pattern of actions, or timeline of actions. That's the word. That was the review from last time. Let's review actually making te form super fast, because you'll have to know that to do all the rest of these. Te form is so important for so many things in Japanese. It just builds and builds on each other. So once you know, like, basic grammar structures, te form being one of the biggest ones, you can start doing more advanced things, more advanced grammar points, because usually it builds on either casual form or te form, which both of those we have done. So yeah, let's review this super fast. I'll do it with you. Okay, so all you're doing here is transferring the original infinitive verb into te form. Yomu is to read, so mu is in a, I guess, group combination with bu and nu endings, so you have to change the mu to an nde for te form, so yonde. Next is taberu, to eat. That is a group 2 verb, which is really easy. You just drop the ru and add te, tabete. Pretty easy. We like root verbs for conjugations. They're so easy, and we love them. Tetsudau. That's in a group with u, tsu, and ru, which is the deceptive, like, group 1, but ends in a ru character group. So drop the u and add te at the end. Te with the small tsu in there. So tetsudate. Make sure it's the small tsu, giving you like a little jump in there in your pronunciation. Tetsudate. Next is kiku, to listen. Oh, and tetsudau is to help, if you don't know. Kiku's to listen. Gu and gu are about the same. You just add the 2 little lines in there. So, ite. For gu, it'd be ide, with the 2 lines on the te. So, yeah, drop the ku and add ite. So, kite. It's kind of similar sounding to when you use the small tsu, but you just elongate the vowel instead of doing a jump. So, kite. And then the last one is iku. That is an irregular. It goes in the same category technically as suru and kuru in things like this. It's not always irregular, but you just gotta watch it for like casual form and te form. Change it to ite with the small tsu in there also. There's kind of a trend with endings like that where iku turns into an irregular. Because if we did it normally, like you see in kiku at the top, it'd be ite, like 2 e's. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. So we just change it to the small tsu and just say ite. Let's move on to part 2. I always put charts in here because that's how my brain works, so it could be the same for everyone else. And then I always do the paragraphs also. So this is just a chart to show you how to conjugate everything depending on the ending into actual te form, and then after you conjugate it to te form, then we add the endings that we're going to talk about in a minute to make certain grammar points. So this chart is just for the ut verbs because they're all like very specific depending on the endings. And then ru verbs are easy, and irregulars you just really have to memorize, which isn't really that bad. Su is by itself. Ku and gu are very similar. Mu, bu, and nu are all the same, and then ru, u, and su are also all the same. So this is very important for what we're about to talk about. I already went over the first two in the last lesson and just repeated it, but for the new people that just came in, like I got like 4 or 5 people that came in just now, last time we did connecting actions and ongoing actions, which are the 2 main ones that you will see. These next ones that we'll talk about are a little bit more advanced. They're good to know and good to use, especially like going to Japan. You'll see, like you'll use polite requests all the time when you're going to Japan. Asking permission, I didn't really use as much, but it's still important. Prohibition. You will see that on signs a lot. Like, especially the example that I put in here, you must not smoke. You'll see that pretty much on signs wherever you can't smoke, really. And then resulting state is just your status. That's not as, I guess, not as used, really. You use des a lot for, like, adjectives and whatever, but, like, if it has a status and it's a verb at the same time, that's usually what you use. So, like, kekkon shiteimasu is I am married, but, like, kekko suru is, like, to get married or to be married. It's both. I'm actively getting married, like, right now I'm in the middle of the ceremony, is also kekkon shiteimasu. But then, like, after the ceremony, your status is that you are married. So, kekkon shiteimasu, exactly the same. So yeah, we'll go into these. Let's do quick reviews. Not going to take very long on these because we already talked about them. Making more complex sentences for connecting verbs. The example on the left, hon no yonda and nemashita. So, I read a book, I slept. Both of those things can be combined easily by changing the first verb into te form and then keeping the last verb exactly the same. Hon o yonde nemashita. That's how you would do that. Same with these. I ate a meal, then watched TV. Gohan o tabete terebi o mimashita. And then example 2, I went home and I slept. Uchi ni kaete nemashita. Kaete, a reminder, I will probably say this for all of my beginner lessons just because you just gotta know it. Kaeru is not a ru verb. It ends in ru, but it is deceptive, so we have to conjugate it like a group 1. So you adopt the ru and add te with a small tsu in there. So kaete. So uchi ni kaete nemashita. Teiru, I am doing this. I'm doing it right now. Ongoing action, verb in te form, and then just add iru or imasu, which is formal. So, ima benkyou shite imasu. I am studying now. Studying right now, doing it actively. He is watching TV. Kare wa terebi o mite imasu. And then I am listening to music. Ongaku o kite imasu. And then, of course, when you say I am doing this, it's kind of understood, unless you're talking about someone actively. You can drop the watashi wa or boku wa, ore wa, whatever. Ongaku o kite imasu. When you don't make it kanji, does it make it different? Sometimes. It depends. A lot of words are pronounced the same. So, like, when you're speaking, we use a lot of context when it comes to it. So intonation's a big thing. So, like, whatever syllable you enunciate or emphasize, that will help. So speaking, like, hashi has, like, 2 different meanings. I'm blanking on the first one, but hashi means chopsticks. I'm blanking on the other one. But it has 2 different meanings, but, like, you can pronounce it hashi or hashi, like that, like, intonation of what goes up, I guess. They're said the same, but the kanji's different. But then, if you're a beginner, sometimes you don't automatically know the kanji. So you'll just write it as hashi, as in hiragana. So, like, it may be a little bit difficult to tell when you're a beginner, unless it's clear by the context. Does that make sense? I hope that helped. So, hashi is chopsticks, enunciating the first syllable, And then hashi is bridge. You don't have to I'm obviously exaggerating so you can hear the difference. So yeah, and they have two completely different kanjis. So watch out for that in your context when you're writing, if you're journaling or something like that to learn. Watch out for your context. Make sure it's very clear that you know what you're doing. Because clearly if you're talking about eating, saying I'm eating sushi with chopsticks, they're gonna know you're not saying you're eating sushi with a bridge. That doesn't make any sense. Polite requests. This is pretty simple. If you remember anything from this lesson, take this one. This is the biggest one that we're going to work on right now. So te form plus kudasai. You've probably heard the phrase kudasai in whatever anime, dramas you watch, any of that, because that's pretty common. You're just asking for someone to do something or give you something. You use it when you're ordering in a restaurant too. You also say onegai shimasu in a restaurant. So either way. In this example, it's please open the door. Doa o agete kudasai. Agete kudasai. Change the te form, add kudasai. That just makes it all polite. The literal translation is please, so that's just easier to know. And when you're talking to your friends, technically you could drop the kudasai because it's more polite. I wouldn't say super formal, but it's polite. It's good to use. If you're wanting to be super formal, I would say onegai shimasu. You still would use te form with that. Doa o agete onegai shimasu. You still use te form with that. But that's extra polite. Kudasai is a little less polite. And then you can drop the kudasai and just say doa o agete to talk to your friends, and that makes it more casual. And contrary to popular belief, if you just say agete, that is not rude. That is not considered rude. What is considered rude is if you change the verb at the ending with the o sound. So you would say doa o agero. Don't say that. That is definitely considered rude. Unless you're like me and you're fucking around with your best friend. And we just scream at each other all the time. That's just what we do, because, asking for permission. We're basically asking, may I, or can I do this, whatever, is this okay? Is more of a literal translation of it. Te mo here is the connecting particle between the two. It's a whole set phrase, so study it as te mo ii desu ka? If you use flashcards or whatever, you use the full phrase. But just as a background to break it down, the te form with the verb mo connects it, and then ii desu ka is is it good, is it okay, whatever. That's the literal translation of such. So te mo ii desu ka? I is, I guess, okay, doing good, whatever. May I go to the bathroom is toire ni ite mo ii desu ka? So here, you're using the verb to go, and then change it to te form, and then te mo ii desu ka is the full phrase. So, is it okay if I go, looking at it backwards, of course, is it okay if I go to the bathroom? But of course, Japanese being weird, it's literally fully backwards. Bathroom to go is okay, or okay is, basically. So, yeah, this one, you don't use very much. You use it in school some. If you go to college or something in Japan, asking if it's okay to go to the bathroom, go here, go there, whatever. That's just as something polite that you would say to your teacher. And then if you want, I'm just trying to think of ways that I've used talking to your teacher about meeting with them or asking for extra credit or whatever. I'm pretty sure that's the only times that I've ever used it. If you're wanting to be polite with your friends, I'm not gonna say it's polite, but better to use with your friends, you can drop desu ka at the end and say, I don't know why you would ask your friends to go to the bathroom or whatever, but for the example, toire ni ite mo ii, you can drop the desu ka to make it less polite in that case. So, yeah. Next is prohibition. Yeah, this is probably what you'll see on signs, so you probably, unless you're a teacher, won't have to use this one, but at least you'll know what it is. So, te form, of course, and then you add, so it's te wa ikemasen. Te wa ikemasen. So, yeah, wa ikemasen. You can also do ikenai to make it more casual instead of super formal like the masen is. It's not as used in speaking, but you'll probably see it on signs in Japan. So here, you must not smoke here. ここでタバコを吸ってはいけません. To smoke is su, so it's the su character with an u at the end, so su. And then, yeah, same thing with the te form. Drop the u, add te with the small tsu, and then te wa ikemasen is the full phrase there. And then te wa ikenai is also okay, too. That's more casual. But yeah, probably won't see one like that very much. And then, like we talked about a minute ago, resulting state, continuous state, just status, whatever. It's not something that you're doing right now, but it's a condition. It's a state that you're in. So it's the same thing as before, te iru, but this time it just has a different meaning. So I am married. Kekkon shite imasu. It still applies. So you did already get married, but you're also still married right now. It's your status. There aren't a lot of examples of this. Married is really the biggest one, honestly, that I can think of. Unless you guys think of more, you can ask me questions, whatever. And I thought about it. That does not really apply for, like, graduation or anything. I don't know. That's really the only, like, ceremony or, like, resulting state that I can really think of that works. Yeah, just remember, I guess I am married as a set phrase for the most part. Okay, so real quick, take a second to practice making te form, and then while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up another resource that I have for you to practice te form. Let's run through these real quick. Okay, let's start for the first one. These are similar to before. I ate ramen and did something else. This is kind of preparing your brain for what's happening with combining the verbs. Ramen o taberu, so change the te form. Easy. Tabete, drop the ru, add te at the end. Pretty easy. And then I helped my mom and then did something else. So okasan o tetsudau, change the te form, tetsudatte. I asked the teacher and then did something else. Sensei ni kiku. Kiku is also like, you know, listen and to ask at the same time as both. So yeah, sensei ni kiku, so change the te form is kite. And then I went to Tokyo and also did something else. So Tokyo ni iku, that's an irregular, so ite. Let's run through this real quick because it has more charts and different ways of explaining things than I can usually do. So yeah, that's just a good resource to have in your back pocket. This website is amazing. Tofugu, it has grammar stuff, vocab stuff, any kind of listening, other resources. It's pretty great. It's awesome. I love it. So this is what we talked about last lesson with just the normal te form endings. The way that they list them, it's still right, but I just do it the easier way because I don't feel like doing all the extra stuff. Godan and then Ichidan, those are group 1, group 2. Same thing. Yeah, if you ever see Godan and Ichidan, that's what that whole thing means. Irregulars, if you see here, Iku is considered an irregular here. Iku to ite. But then, of course, the normal 2 irregulars of kuru and suru. And then it just goes in depth of conjugating everything in a way that, like, might make sense for other visual learners also, like myself. Math people, because it kind of makes it look like an equation, which I like. I'm a math person, so. Thank you guys for coming. Bye.